welcome back after a brief hiatus to Beating a Dead Horse. As always, I am your host, Sean McKinda.
And I'm your host, Jackson Keller.
And we're going to be talking about Jurassic World and Kingdom this week. But before we do, I do just want to talk about that hiatus for a brief second before we dig too far into the movie, because this is my platform and I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. And what I want to do with it is yell at every motherfucker out there to get a fucking COVID vaccine. Y'all are fucking dense motherfuckers if you haven't already. They're free, they're readily available, and please, for the love of God, do so. Yes, that is why we were off last week. And yes, it was a deeply personal tragedy. Yes, it fucking sucked. People do die from this shit. Get a vaccine. Oh my God, you dense motherfuckers.
You're out of excuses, public. It's time. Get one. Co-signed.
I just wanted to get that out there real quick. It sucks. It's a real rough fucking tragedy. I know I'm sounding glib and lighthearted through this, but that's the only way I know how to cope, because my life is weird and my mental state is unraveling. So let's fucking watch Jurassic World, baby. What else you gonna do?
Here's Colin Trevorrow, you know. We have a man in the midst of unraveling, and here's Colin Trevorrow, like, seeing the thread on the sweater and giving it a good old yank.
Just watching a brontosaurus bleat his last off in the distance while we get on a boat to sail away.
Incredibly sad and tragic version of the Jurassic Park theme play.
I have laughed at it incredibly hard both times.
It's very funny. It's very funny.
So if you are just joining us for this episode of Beating a Dead Horse, first of all right, weird. But second of all, we have talked about Jurassic World for Kingdom once before. I still don't know what to fucking call it, and I don't care enough to learn.
I was going to say, I'm not going to correct you. It's better this way.
It's something. It's Forgotten, Forbidden Kingdom, whatever. I don't give a shit, and neither should you. But the point is, we've talked about this once before, and we had an absolute hoot and a holler when the first time we watched this. We saw it in theaters, both of us, while it was fresh out. It was a great fucking time, and we have spent the past couple months at this point talking about blockbusters and their sequels. And this is the last one that we're going to talk about, and it is, I mean, I would say it's the worst, but I don't know that that's true. I don't. We've had some stinkers, I'll tell you that much.
I definitely get more meme value out of this than like Jaws the Revenge, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. But this is the second time we're watching it because we kept talking about it, and we kept talking about how it felt like a Resident Evil movie with dinosaurs, which is rad as hell, but also deeply misleading of our memories, because that's the last 15 minutes of this movie.
Well, I'll say this. Before we get any deeper into this. Normally, I'm pretty whatever about spoilers, even in our non-spoiler section. I'm like, oh, well, like whatever, the premise of the movie. I will say this. I'll come out and say my recommendation is that if you have not seen Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and you don't know anything about it, it is funny, because a lot of what happens here is like mind-numbingly stupid. This is a strong contender for the dumbest blockbuster ever made. And that's funny the first time you watch it.
Yes, it is not The Room that can be watched and rewatched and gotten new enjoyment out of it every time.
This was a shockingly miserable experience. I expected to find more laughs than I did. You know, we've done a few repeat episodes where we revisited something for one reason or another, either just because, you know, we weren't satisfied with how it turned out the first time, or like the conversation had changed, or like we, you know, just had a plain old curiosity to see if like our thoughts had crystallized on it more. But like, it's strange that, like, you know, the other two, yeah, we did Undertale and The Last Jedi again, and like those are movies with like themes and substance, and I was kind of shocked on both of those occasions when I went back and my opinion on those things hadn't changed at all, for better or worse. And I didn't think Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was going to be the one to break that trend, but here we are, baby. Here we are.
So you love
know,
it this time.
No, I absolutely hated it. In fact, I felt like all the cynical joy of modern movie making like way down upon me. I mean, this kind of is the perfect capstone to sequel month, because like what makes this such a joyless experience, for me at least, I think, once you get over after the initial guffaw of like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that, sort of wears off, you're just kind of left with like a very like nakedly obvious, like calculated corporate movie that happened to churn out something dumb. Because that's the thing about The Room, right? Like, you go back to The Room because The Room is art. The Room is a vision by a man, a deeply sick, twisted man. With The Room, it's almost as fun, if not more so, to like try and untangle Tommy Wiseau's neuroses and like explain a lot of the baffling decisions that happened, as it is to just point and laugh at like, you know, hi Mark, how was your sex life? Like that stuff. It's the complete package, really. There's a reason it remains the gold standard, like it and Birdemic. But this, once you know the funny bits, it's like, what are you left with? Something meant to sell dinosaur toys to children. Oh, I guess it did that. Great.
Yeah, and a lot of action sequences that are very Colin Trevorrow in that they are competent. There's nothing, they're not fun enough to like re-elevate your excitement for them, nor are they stupid enough to be genuinely enjoyable the entire time throughout. There are a couple of scenes, as I said, the final 15 minutes, I think are a hoot and a holler still. Yep. There's one triple take that I fucking paused the movie and rewound to rewatch. It is that fucking juicy. Highly recommended for that alone. But outside of that, I spent more time just like, what the fuck am I doing here? What is happening? Why am I watching this again? I don't give a shit about any of these people. None of them, like none of their motivations carried over from the previous movie. They had to basically reset all of it. And yet it's a sequel to the first one, the returning characters. The action is, again, fine. It's just so aggressively fine that you don't really think about it, but you don't think about it. How fun. I love to go and not think. That's what I want in life. And that's basically what this movie is. This movie is the definition of do not think, just consume. And yes. I wish there was more fun out of that. And I wish that like the few moments that are genuinely transcendentally hilarious are more common within the property. But as it is, you get like 2 guffaw moments and then 2 hours of a slog of a movie. And much like the original Jurassic World, it's the weird type of slog where at least I never found it particularly bad, but that's why it's been so engineered to be just fine. It is the fucking platonic ideal of nothing. It is SpongeBob normal. It is normal SpongeBob. Hey, how's it going? And that it is inoffensive. It's not, it never really fully falls into totally boring. It's just uninteresting through most of it. It's competent, but so competent that it loses any sort of edge that makes it interesting. It's mind-boggling how it can be so good and so bad at the same time and not in an interesting way.
Because for a while, Jurassic World, and maybe it still is, was my hallmark of like a boring, mediocre, dumb modern blockbuster. And I guess true to form, this sure is a sequel to that. Like, this might be the new gold standard, frankly, because what I had thought had set it apart was like the dinosaur Resident Evil stuff, and that's there a bit. But like, yeah, it's like you say, it's not even like much like the original, it's not like every second is like an assault on the senses. It's not like unwatchable, but
it's not Jaws. It's not the Jaws sequels where they're just so thuddingly dull and hard to watch.
No, this is like, you know, I could see, especially, and like maybe it's because I could see the appeal, that I feel debatably more drained than Jaws the Revenge watching this. That might have just been this because I'm coming to this towards the second time, and I was maybe expecting something a little funnier. I don't know. We'll leave. That was between me and God, I guess. There's just something kind of like Jaws the Revenge. It's got more in common with that than like I initially would have guessed. It just on a much grander scale, and that like you have all of these stupid ideas that sound like they should be really good and really funny. And unlike Jaws the Revenge, at least sometimes this movie pays off on that. Sometimes this movie makes good on that. But a lot of the time it's just like, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler. This was in the trailers and the premise that like the premise is they're trying to get the dinosaurs off the island because the island is going to blow up. And that feels like a fake movie. Like that feels like something in like The Simpsons as like a gag. Like Jurassic Part 2. This time the island itself is the biggest threat. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just
That's a really good tagline. Hang on. That's a real fucking good tagline.
Hi, Trevorrow, take me under your wing. I'm ready. I'm ready for showbiz, baby. But no, like everything about this movie feels so calculated to be bigger and more sequel-y but not in like a way where like they're sort of like any this is maybe debatably a good thing that a lot of the like turn to the camera sort of commentary that I rolled my eyes at in Jurassic World 1, a lot of that's gone. But by the same token, at least in that movie, like you could have made like a satirical angle. You could have had a satirical angle like a Lord and Miller's Jurassic World about like the genetically engineered Indominus Rex. Like there's something there, right? But this is just that. This is just the Indominus Rex, the movie, even more so than the first one. It's actually shocking. It's not. I guess it's not actually shocking because I think most people didn't have a kind of twisted fondness for this movie like I did. Because whenever I thought about this movie, I thought about the memes, and there are some solid memes, but like the rest of it just burned away to be this cynical blockbuster, the cynical blockbuster. There were parts of it that felt like a toy commercial, like when we got some nice like shots of the T-Rex in blue doing something cool. I'm like, oh man, they're trying to sell this as like Barney, but with a velociraptor, like me and my friend Blue. Like you could feel them looking like Blue looking at the camera as it did it, and I can hear the children in my mind like cheering. And if I were a kid, I'd probably been like, yeah, dinosaurs are cool, that's an angle, I guess, but also like
we're pretentious and demand things from our art. What do we want?
I know, exactly. So to describe the best memes, I think would qualify as spoiler, so I'll refrain from doing so here. But yeah, like I couldn't help but feel like this almost felt like not quite on this level in terms of like the filmmaking, but like a similar feeling, like watching Jack and Jill, like the famous like Red Letter Media like video about how like you break apart all the advertising in Jack and Jill and you realize it's not here to be a film that you enjoy. Like I felt similarly, although obviously this is nowhere near as miserable as Jack and Jill.
And we can confirm that for what it's worth. We have seen Jack and Jill.
Yes, we have willingly watched Jack and Jill of our own accord. I dare say I found Jack and Jill a more intellectually stimulating watch than Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, because there's a lot of shit in Jack and Jill that is like really baffling, in a like the Red Letter Media review.
It's
doesn't do it
challenging.
justice. Yeah, it's very challenging.
See, now, if I were a stupider man, this is where I would say that we should talk about that on the next episode as a comparison piece. But I am not a stupider man, and I will not watch that movie again.
No, I mean we've learned our lesson. I think that we learned our lesson right here, right now with this movie.
And we didn't even have fun with Jack and Jill the first time. That movie was miserable.
No, I like my intellectual stimulation from Jack and Jill. Like that's what I'd call it. I wouldn't call it enjoyment. I like the sort of like I spent a lot of the movie just sort of like staring at the screen, scratching my chin, like, you know, twiddling with my fucking mustache, being like, how could this be? It was more like beholding a Lovecraftian horror than anything enjoyable.
Dunka-dunka-dunka-dunka-dunka-chino. Fuck me. The wildest thing about this movie, too, is that it's not one movie. It's functionally two movies.
They didn't have enough material for either.
Yeah, like this movie bucks the 3-act structure by having there just be two movies soldered together at just about the perfect halfway point, honestly. Yep. Like they clearly had some ideas for this one movie where the island's blowing up. This time the dinosaurs aren't the biggest threat. And this other fucking auction house movie that feels like it should have been the third movie. Like this should have been the setup to the third movie. Then they wrote themselves into a corner, said, fuck, we need to put these together. What the fuck are we going to do for Dominion? And I guess we're going to find out. I'm still tepidly excited for Dominion because I hope it's a fairly comparable experience to the first time watching this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like if it makes good on the stuff that this promises, it could be fun for at least one watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're totally right. It's like two movies soldered together, and it's funny because it's got that in common.
Well, it's not funny.
Well, it's not funny, unfortunately. But like it's not ha-ha funny. It's more funny.
It's more Joker funny.
It's more Would you say that this movie was Colin Trevorrow's Joker moment?
No, because Colin Trevorrow's Joker moment, I would have to no. Listen. Colin Trevorrow's Joker moment is obviously Book of Henry. Let's just be clear.
As soon as I said that, I'm like, nope, it's Book of Henry. Like this is like a Batman animated series Joker. Like this is Colin Trevorrow after he's accepted who he is.
Jackson, do we watch Book of Henry for the next episode?
All right, strap in, folks. We found it.
I can't believe we were so upset at this movie. We're like, we have to watch something interesting and good next time. We can't do this again. And then we're like, nah, we're going to watch another Colin Trevorrow movie. Have we liked a single Colin Trevorrow movie ever?
I have not. I've also not seen, I know that his like first movie has Defenders. Can't remember what it's called, but it's just like a little indie like sci-fi comedy, I think. That movie has Defenders. I've never seen it. Every other Trevorrow or Trevorrow adjacent movie I've seen, because he didn't direct this one. He only has a screenplay credit. But yeah, they've all been bad.
It's pretty bad. Yep, all bad. Do miss the Star Wars Episode 9. I wish she was on that, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, Trevorrow bad's still more interesting than J.J. Abrams bad, regrettably.
Oh my god. Oh, don't talk to me about that. Never mind. I regret it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up.
No, but like, because this movie is much like how the first one was functionally a remake of Jurassic Park. This movie is functionally a remake of The Lost World. Already a not great movie that's, you know, mostly watchable thanks to Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, that movie was also sort of two movies stapled together that had like the dinosaur rescue mission from like the Hunters, which this movie is identical to, except with an exploding island. So it's got stupid sequel stuff in addition to being a remake. What a thrill. And like that movie, which I mean, I guess strictly speaking, this might be a better movie than The Lost World. I haven't actually watched that movie in fucking ages. So, you know, that could be a bold claim, because at least this movie, like the interesting bit, the fun bit is much of a greater part of the movie. Because the only thing famously that's good about The Lost World is when
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, right. That is Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn.
We also have technically watched that movie somewhat recently.
I don't think I actually sat through the whole thing for that episode.
Really? Hang on. Whoa! You made me sit through that whole movie and you did it?
I didn't think because that was the April Fool's one. I didn't think that we were gonna like actually do the whole thing because with Delivery Man, a lot of the joke, I guess we're showing how the sausage was made. Not that this was a surprise, but
It's been 3 years at this point.
Yeah. A lot of the joke was that like we would sprinkle in stuff that actually happened in Delivery Man and stuff that didn't happen and see if people could tell the difference. So like with this one, we were so focused on like the Vince Vaughn being like God meme. I figured I'm like, oh, I've seen this movie before. I don't actually have to know that much about it. So
I do remember that because I did watch it. You kind of went along with half remembered things, and that was the bit.
Yes, that's right. Okay, yeah. I feel like that was a bit we like agreed to in advance.
That sounds like something we would have done, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad we resolved this unfinished business for the Lost World. But anyway, back to this horrible movie.
It is more interesting than anything we're talking about currently.
God,
so
it's so true. There was more artistic integrity and passion put into our Vince Vaughn April Fool's episodes than in any of these fucking Jurassic World.
And
movies.
those April Fool's episodes are fucking wild. I honestly don't even like. I don't know if I could listen to them anymore. I don't know if I could stand by them, honestly.
I don't either. But we went for it, man.
We did. Fuck it. Let's just do it and be legends.
That Delivery Man one, I should go back and listen to the Delivery Man one. I feel like that's a solid bit. Maybe I just feel that way because of like what deep lore we have with that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think about the time in the Lost World one. Where I think Vince Vaughn got launched out of a window by a dinosaur, and I made a reference to Vince Vaughn being birthed through the window and like used it as a rebirth metaphor.
Yeah.
And that is probably my favorite joke I've ever told on this podcast.
Maybe we should go back and reassess life after death. Maybe it was our real masterpiece all along. Yeah, but The Lost World famously ends with a T-Rex tearing through San Francisco, presumably because Steven Spielberg was like, fuck, this movie sucks. We got to do something. And then he did, and just had a T-Rex go on a rampage. That is literally only like 10 minutes of the movie. Whereas at least the Resident Evil stuff is like half the movie in this. So mathematically, it might be better than The Lost World. But otherwise, it's the same fucking movie, except with dumb lava.
See, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that math, though, because like I think that slapping a weird 15 minutes onto the end of it feels like patchwork for sure, but at least it's a coherent whole for most of it. Whereas this still technically is coherent. Like there's nothing about it that there's a lot of things about it that are incoherent, but those are mostly character motivations and that type of shit. But like the story itself is coherent throughout, but it's so clearly two different movies stapled together.
It feels almost like they looked at because I imagine the island blowing up came first, right? Like it had to have been like, oh, like we're going to have like maybe someone even thought they were being clever as like a throwback because like, the 90s had a bunch of like disaster movies and they're like, oh, it'll be like what if Jurassic Park, but a natural disaster movie. And what it ends up being is like Chris Pratt playing Super Mario Brothers with like a super slow encroaching lava. That I thought was pretty funny the first time. Not a gag that holds up.
No.
Mostly because I think I was surprised that they went there. I was surprised that they like were so nakedly dumb. It was more like I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but now I remember it. Now I'm like, oh right, this is the part where a Deinonychus like gets lava poured on its head and it keeps moving. That's bad.
Like I will say, when you said almost as a throwback to 90s disaster movies, part of it perked me up a little bit because I'm like, oh, that actually sounds like it could be a lot of fun, especially on a Jurassic Island type of thing, a Jurassic Park type setting. Like that sounds rad as hell. The problem is like everything around it in this movie. Chris Pratt being fucking tranked out of his mind isn't funny. It's not clever. It's just the only way that slow moving lava makes sense. But like, it doesn't have to be slow moving. And there's just so much of a focus on like, we have to get the dinosaurs off here because there's like this other spy mission thing happening at the same time that is just so deeply uninteresting. But admittedly, a fucking volcano exploding while dinosaurs are also chasing you is jumping the shark, but jumping the shark in a way that I am all about.
Yeah, like there's a lot in here that done correctly could be some nice, fun Independence Day tier schlock. Like Independence Day 1, I should clarify.
What's wrong with Independence Day 2?
What is wrong with Independence Day 2? Well, dear viewers, you should go listen to that one that started this whole sorry mess.
Oh, fuck. I keep forgetting about that, and it just makes me like that fucking movie less, and I hated that movie to begin with.
It's a strong contender for the worst movie we've talked about on the show.
Oh, boy, it really is shit.
But it's so obvious because, like, as soon as they touch down on the island, the volcano blows. It's so clear they're like, oh, yeah. Like, dinosaur disaster movie, great. Like, what's the story? And they're just like, and they just took whatever material they had and were like, never mind, we're going to do something else after this.
Yeah, it's crazy that they ran out of material for this dinosaur disaster movie. Or, like, maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just like, we need more things happening because it's more than the original. So this time there's going to be 3 plots happening simultaneously, not just 2. And it's too many plots. It's too many plots.
Too many plots. Too many plots. Too many plots. Beating a dead horse about too many cooks would have more artistic merit than either Jurassic World.
I mean, I did a full episode on fucking Celery Man.
Yes.
There's something there to it, I suppose.
Too Many Cooks was like that was like lightning in a bottle. That was a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I miss being young.
Wow. All right, this got real fucking dark real fucking quick, huh?
You know who else is young? Clones.
Yeah, clones. I listen. Do you want to put just a quick spoiler tag here? Not really get too much into it. I don't know how much more we have to say, but like, let's just fucking slap that.
Yep.
Just so we can talk about clones for a quick second. All right. Listen, I'm not even going to launch into our spiel. This is going to be a short fucking episode, I promise. Unless it gets weird and long, whereas then I might edit something in. We'll find out. But we gotta talk about clones. Spoilers for the end here. Seriously, if you guys have not watched this movie at all and you're looking for something goofy to watch this weekend, it's a rollicking good time on your first viewing. If you have watched this movie before, do not watch it again.
Never
it is
again.
Not as fun as you remember it being. I can promise you that. So, spoilers. Let's talk about fucking clones. What the fuck, Jackson?
So, first of all, I love how they just brought in a guy to be John Hammond, and like you don't want to recast Richard Attenborough, but you want to have John Hammond in your movie, right? Like, oh, this is John Hammond's like unseen business partner. Like, if Richard Attenborough was still alive, he would have been fucking John Hammond. Like,
yeah,
straight up.
It also, this dude feels like he's retconning John Hammond's legacy, like right off the bat, right?
100%. So like, we have this dude. He's just John Hammond. Except I guess like John Hammond already had real grandchildren that like, he cared about. It was like the only thing he actually cared about. And,
yeah.
So, because he was a character with motivations. Jurassic Park was a movie made by a filmmaker. And so, you have fake John Hammond. You have Bon Blamond. And Bon Blamond is sad because his daughter died. And he's like, I'm going to clone a second one because we have the technology to do that because we cloned all these dinosaurs. And it's just in here. I think I dare say it's in here to like attempt to make people ponder some Chappie level like existential questions about like life and all that Mewtwo shit. I'd be like, whoa, dude, we have dinosaurs. These are clones. What if we had human clones too? Never mind that this would have, severe implications on the world and world building of Jurassic Park. But, you know, the little girl's a clone. And it's going to be a pretty obvious plot twist, but you're still going to, like, your jaw is going to be on the floor when it happens still. Especially because the payoff to it is the funniest thing. The funniest,
oh my
low-key,
God.
the funniest part of the movie for me.
Jesus Christ, the fucking payoff is... Okay, so the fucking payoff to this is that the little girl decides to let all the dinosaurs into the world because they're clones like her.
She is literally Mewtwo from that first movie.
Yeah, no, entirely, 100%. But it makes less sense, I feel. It makes less sense, right?
Oh God, yes. Because at least, like, that, this could have tied into, like, a character. Not that Bryce Dallas Howard has any fucking character in this movie. Like, she barely matters.
Well, her character entirely changes from the first one. How she was like a whole capitalist in the first one, only caring about profit and everything. You could be like, oh, well, maybe she changed off screen in between the two movies. But, like, that's a fucking lame thing to do.
Yes. So now she's all about dinosaur rights, which fine. You know, we can make a movie about dinosaur rights, whatever. And, like, I would have preferred... I mean, I wouldn't have preferred it because it would have been less funny, but it would have been more sensible if, like, she just made a tough decision and, like, came down hard on, like, you know, we brought these creatures to life and they should have the same rights as any other endangered species. Like, take that sort of angle. Like, you could have just committed to that bit and you could have made it thematically coherent. I mean, not that anything about this movie is thematically coherent, so it's better what they did. It's better that we have 10-year-old girl Mewtwo going like, they're just like me, and then hitting the button and letting them all out.
That final scene, much to consider, much to think about with that, and by that I mean there's very little to think about because it's I apologize. I know I'm stuttering here, but it's genuinely because I don't really even know where to begin processing it. It's meant to feel really triumphant, and I guess, sure, to some extent, there's some argument there. I mean, I'm a vegetarian. I'm fully for, like, the right to life for animals. That's not really necessarily what I want to say here, because I think right to life is it's
a loaded term, but we know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically here about, like, if you alive, you have the right to exist in that way. So, like, I should be all for this move, right? Like, yeah, let the dinosaurs out, let them free. But that is so fucking devastating to the ecosystem of the Earth that it's absolutely insane and definitely going to cause more harm than any good by letting them live, right?
Oh, 100%.
All things being equal, this sounds like a terrible idea. So while it's presented as some triumphant thing, it's horrifying. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And it's like they all go out and kill the evil guys. So it's supposed to be a victory for dinosaurs, but it just does not feel that way at all.
It's because this movie doesn't give a shit about its human characters. They're all either paper thin or super fucking annoying. God, I think I mentioned this in the first one, but that Detective Pikachu kid, oh my God, worst character of all time. He just, like, screams. And I don't even know if it's supposed to be funny, if he's supposed to be, like, comic relief. He's just, like, screaming the whole time. He's like, you know, oh no, I'm so scared, guys, I'm so scared. And he just starts, like, screaming and he never stops. And it's really, like, over the top too. Oh my God, I couldn't stand that kid. And then he gets like a non-arc where he, like, learns to be a big tough boy like Chris Pratt. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Get me out of here. So, but, like, that's the problem, is that, you know, in Jurassic Park, you know, they're not the deepest characters, but, like, the movie does at least assume that you have some vested interest in the fate and dynamic of those characters. Like, we spend quite a bit of time with those characters before shit goes wrong. And this is something that even Jurassic World tries to do a little more. It doesn't work because Colin Trevorrow is not a good writer, but, like, it tries to make you, like, feel at least sympathetic towards the human peoples and their problems. But this is just, like, it's so obvious that they, like, looked and were like, yeah, kids like Blue, kids like the dinosaurs. Well, you know, we're happy in this scene because Blue gets to go run free and be, like, you know, a Lone Ranger. And it's like, Yes. But at this point, we've completely given up on this as a real movie. Like this is just a Saturday morning cartoon, like The Adventures of Blue and the T-Rex to sell Blue and T-Rex toys. Like that's all this is at this point.
And honestly, if it just presented itself as that, I think it would be fine. Like I think that you could excuse so much more about the movie if it was just like, listen, we're gonna drop the pretense and it's just going to be one-dimensional characters hanging out with their dinosaur pal, solving mysteries. That's just Scooby-Doo. But instead, we get something that still is portending to be something more than that.
Yes, it's like so many bad things we talk about in the show. It is like a half measure. They're like they don't commit to the bit of like having it just be a Saturday morning cartoon.
And when they do, it's when it's at its best because that's when it becomes a Resident Evil movie.
Precisely. I mean, just bite the bullet. Have Chris Pratt ride Blue like a Yoshi. Just do it already. We know that's what you want. Like there's a shot that kind of looks like someone's riding a dinosaur in this, but like I
can't imagine that actually happened.
No. It definitely for sure doesn't happen. But I remember like it jolted me from my seat for a second. I'm like, wait, is he like getting on the dinosaur? I'm like, oh no. It just like there was a camera thing. Yeah. So there's really only. I've been saying the whole time about this next one since ostensibly it's going to be about dinosaurs in the real world, and that there's only one of two routes you can take with that, and that's like super schlock Saturday morning cartoon, Chris Pratt riding a dinosaur, or like deeply tense horror like Dinosaur The Last of Us, and they're not going to do the latter, so lean really hard into the former.
No, we're just gonna do half of both and pretend like it's a movie.
We're gonna call it Jurassic World Forgotten. Fuck, now I'm doing it too. It's Fallen Kingdom, John.
Are you sure?
I'm certain. I don't
Are
know
you
why
sure?
I'm so certain about this. I've never been more certain about anything, despite the fact that this movie sucks and I hate it.
Yeah, it's always going to be for Kingdom for me, no matter what.
It's like the Patriots, the lolly lulelo. Anytime someone tries to say this movie's name, like they get censored by the nanomachine.
Oh, that is a side effect of the COVID vaccine. I should have mentioned that when I went on my tear earlier, but yeah, I can't say Jurassic World Kingdom anymore because the nanomachines from the shot fuck with my brain. So
you see, we have nothing but benefits from the vaccine here.
I was going to say, that sounds like a fucking great effect for me. I don't want to talk about this movie again. If this movie got inadvertently wiped from the collective consciousness as a direct result, I would be fine with it.
Feel like it already has. I feel like there wasn't as much discourse with this one. Like no one really talks about it. It didn't do as well. I don't know if it like underperformed or anything like that. Probably not. But like it wasn't the smash hit the first one was. Like nobody cares. Like people remember that first one for some fucking reason. But here we are. Jurassic World Kingdom.
Yep. And it is exactly that noise, honestly.
Well, I think we're done here.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything else worth saying about this fucking movie. Unlike Jurassic World, where I kind of end by being like, it's not bad, but it's not good. This one is distinctly bad, and yet I'm still stuck saying it's not bad. That's the problem with Colin Trevorrow, is that he's just competent enough.
It's not unwatchable.
Yes.
I think even more so than the first one, which is, again, like, this would have surprised me. What pushes this one over the edge into me, like, actively just liking it is, like, we had a debate last time about how intentional the, like, turn to the camera moment stuff with the IREX was. Like, we had that debate, but this one is like cynical, like through and through. Like it feels like we're gonna remake The Lost World. Oh, what can we do to make it different? Oh, I guess the island blows up. I don't know. Throw all the just literally throw whatever at the wall and hope it sticks. Oh, they like blue, we'll put more blue in there. They like Chris Pratt, we'll put Chris Pratt in there. They didn't like the kids, they're gone. So it's just so. I feel like I'm staring into the void. Like this is my new go-to for peak blockbuster, I think. And that's not a good thing. Actually, This isn't my go-to for peak blockbuster because that's still Independence Day 2.
The movie that is not a remake, but also definitely just a remake.
100% a remake.
Oh boy. All right, we're done here, right?
We're done. Let's cast this movie into the abyss. We'll be the last people to have talked about it ever.
Let's cast fucking Blockbuster Weeks, the sequel, into the abyss as well. Jesus Christ, this has been fucking brutal the past couple weeks for me. Oh my God.
Absolute tire fire. I don't think, I mean, look, it's saying something when the most enjoyable movie that we watched for me was Attack of the fucking Clones.
Yeah, probably. What did we do for... Oh, Hellraiser 8 was in this as well. Hellraiser 8 I did rather like. Even from like a anthropological standpoint, I thought it was deeply fascinating in that way. We had some okay ones, but oh boy, the bad ones just so deeply overshadow everything else.
And we're going to continue to do it with Book of Henry.
But see, it's the first time we're watching this. So
it is the first time we're watching Book of Henry. And I feel like we clown on Book of Henry a lot. I feel like we're low-key posers just cuz we both had a nice chortle at the Dan Olsen videos, which are great. Mm-hmm. But we got to be in the know. We can't keep talking shit without earning our merit badge.
And this is the first time we're watching this Colin Trevorrow movie, which means it should be a grand old time. It's not until you watch it a second time that those movies get really bad.
Where you're like, oh, God, I feel everything slipping away from me.
I feel it all. Well, listen, I've been Sean McKinda. You can find me on Twitter at Sean_McKinda. Get yourself fucking vaccinated.
I'm Jackson Keller. You can find me on Twitter at Jackson J. Keller. Get yourself fucking vaccinated.
Follow us on Twitter at BADH_cast. We tweet out episode updates like, oh, hey, we need to delay an episode because COVID is lethal and you should be vaccinated to protect yourself against that. So
and your loved ones.
And your loved ones. And your loved ones. Also, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/BADHcast. We have a bunch of bonus episodes up there. Go check them out if you want to. Also, thanks to our $10 patrons. You all are wonderful.
Thank you so much. Julia, Travis, Patrick, Mom, Summer, y'all are great. Wonderful. 10 out of 10 people.
Also, thanks to those ahead of your theme song is Suicide, alternate take off the album High Octane, Low Expectations. They're a wonderful band. You should go check them out wherever you can. Support the music, buy the music, stream the music. Bandcamp, Spotify, all those good places. Do it now. Also, thanks to my5yearsLater.com. There's a little button of us in the corner that you can click on, but you should absolutely check out the really talented writing from a lot of really talented people over there right now. Go do it. Go. Next week, I guess we're talking about Book of Henry, or not next week.
Yeah, we'll be doing, fortunately, I guess, for a less miserable reason, we will not have an episode next week. But the week after that, ooh, you best believe we're doing Book of Henry.
I have no idea what to expect about this movie, so I guess it's gonna be a conversation no matter what.
I am a little excited. I am a little excited because, again, for something, maybe like this makes me uncool or like a high school or whatever, but I feel like if I'm gonna clown on something as much as we clown on Book of Henry, I should be able to walk the walk. You know what I'm saying?
100%, right there entirely. So yeah, we're gonna be able to clown on things that we know starting next episode. God, I can't talk anymore. Fuck off. Bye.
Don't you go into the ground. Don't you go